Thursday night football action, give you a little preview into the Sunday football action. And first, Sammy, we got to talk about this Lions-Cowboys game. Major playoff implications for both of these teams. Both teams knew if they won this game, things were going to be significantly easier for them to make it into the playoffs, and only one victor could come out on the other side. And it was the Detroit Lions playing the style of game the Detroit Lions are built to play. They played, it was a foot race to the end, 44-30, 74 points. When you get into a game like this with the Detroit Lions, this is the type of game the Detroit Lions want to play. They are built to get after the quarterback. They are built to win shootouts, and they are built to play this style of football, especially at home, and it has kept their playoff hopes alive. We're on the other side of that, the Dallas Cowboys, who are, we thought after the Quinn Williams trade, things were really coming along. They were 3-0 after that trade. Dak Prescott was playing and has been playing out of his mind, and the defense seemed to be improving, but this was not the style of game that I think they wanted to play at all, Sammy. One single bit. So I want to get your thoughts on this game right now and sort of what you think is going to be the future for both of these teams as we wrap up the season here heading into week 14.
Yeah, it was a very unfortunate game for Dallas. It still felt like the offense was still clicking. Like, it wasn't like the offense wasn't. 467 total yards is very impressive. But I will say that a lot of it came in like the second half, and in the first half, it was a bit underwhelming. They only ended up with 9 points in the first half. It was a 20-9 first half for the Detroit Lions, and that ended up being the difference in the game, and in particular the fourth quarter when they just could not stop the Lions offense. And look, we knew that when Quentin Williams was traded to Dallas that the defense would get a little bit better. And throughout the past couple of weeks, it has. But I think, granted, we have to acknowledge that they did get better and faced inferior offenses, in my opinion. I think we can all agree Kansas City's offense has been not up to par from what we usually see in an Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes offense. And then for Philly, I mean, they've been dealing with offensive struggles pretty much all year long. I got to give credit to Dan Campbell. It's easy to suffer a loss like last week against Green Bay and then face a hot team like Dallas and crap the bed, but they didn't. As a matter of fact, they thrived in this situation and they kept the game clean. And I think that also ended up being the difference in the game. The Lions did not turn the ball over. Dallas turned the ball over 3 times. And that ended up, to me, being the biggest difference in the game. Now, with this being said, the Lions' future, it doesn't get much easier from here. Okay, it's not like they have cupcake opponents. They got 3 divisional opponents. They got, or rather 2 divisional opponents that they have to face in the Vikings and the Bears at the end of the season. That Bears matchup is going to be very interesting because it's going to be on the road, and then the Lions have to face the presumed best team in football and in the LA Rams, which is just my opinion and Matt's opinion, and then they have to face the Steelers. And in spite of the fact that we've all been very hard on the Steelers have a tendency to turn, like, against some of these big games, to force a lot of turnovers. So I don't know if we're going to get those kinds of games from Jared Goff, given his accuracy with the football, but it's not out of the realm of possibility at the exact same time. It's a very difficult road. So it's not like the Lions could still very well miss the playoffs, especially since San Francisco in particular, they, in spite of the fact that they've, wavered a bit in some games, Brock Purdy has been a little bit meh. They do face the Titans this week, and that's not really a matchup, or rather next week. I believe this week they're in a bye. Yeah. Next week they face the Browns or the Titans. Then they face the Colts, who've been a little bit banged up, and then they face the Bears. So really the last 3 games, in my opinion, is where San Francisco, the Lions are going to hope that the good teams take care of business, but the Niners are a good team themselves. And then as for the Cowboys, I mean, Jaden Daniels is coming back, so things have definitely changed now, because the matchups that we thought wouldn't be that difficult are all of a sudden a little bit more difficult. I mean, the Vikings game, I think we can chalk that up as a Cowboys win because the QB position over in Minnesota is bad. The Chargers are a bit banged up, but I mean, I mean, the Commanders, Jaden Daniels is back. I don't know if they're going to, I don't think he's going to want to sit because I'm sure, it being an in-division opponent, they're going to want to play a bit of spoiler. And then the Giants are no strangers to playing spoiler. Okay. They've been playing teams pretty damn well in spite of their 2-11 record. It's really a toss-up between these two teams. Although I did say that after this Lions game, I did expect Dallas to run the table. I'm going to stick with it. I still think the Dallas Cowboys have improved enough. I think offensively they can outshoot the Vikings, outshoot the Chargers, and the Commanders and the Giants. So I'm still going to pick the Cowboys to win out. And the Lions, I just think their schedule is too damn difficult. And I think there's a very strong chance, in spite of the fact that I picked them to win the division, that they could miss the playoffs, Joe.
Yeah, they really could. It's nothing. It's pretty much out of their control right now. They don't face a single person in front of them in the division race right now. They don't have Green Bay, right? So they're basically have to win out and hope that one of the teams ahead of them loses a little bit here for them to get back in this race. Obviously, the Packers have a tough game this week, which we'll get into later. But this is the first time in a little while that we really saw this Lions offense and this defense play up to par with what we thought they could be. Granted, once again, the Cowboys defense isn't great, right? It hasn't been great all year. We had oftentimes said that if this team didn't make the playoffs, it was going to be because of the defensive side of the ball. And we kind of saw it in this game. The offense didn't do them any favors, throwing the ball over 3 times. This is not what this team's built to do. They're not built to have the offense not take care of the football. Dak Prescott, 2 interceptions, and then Jake Ferguson, obviously that fumble, trying to fight for extra yards in a situation where it just wasn't going to happen. Left the ball out there to get punched out by, I believe it was Campbell there. Just, a good effort play. And then just, deflected footballs up in the air with that, one of the linebackers there for the Derek Barnes, Purdue Boilermaker. That's why I remembered it. Well, I'm a big Boilermaker fan if anyone doesn't know that. But,
Purdue, man.
Yeah. But the Lions didn't leave this game unscathed. Brian Branch, done for the year, obviously, is a massive hit. And it's the same story with the Detroit Lions every year, man. They seem to never be able to stay healthy. I don't know what is in the water in Detroit, but they need to figure it out because they can't keep surviving like this. I don't know if Dan Campbell's biting kneecaps, tough mentality is running these players ragged. They don't seem to care. They play for him. They will continue to play for him. I'm not saying Dan Campbell is the reason for this, but they need to figure out how to keep their guys healthy because every year they start out, they're healthy, and we're like, this is the team to beat. They have all the talent. They have all the players. They're well coached. And then just injury bug just somehow has just put up a homestand there and just lives rent-free inside of Ford Field. So I still have confidence in the Lions making the playoffs, but this is the end of the Dallas Cowboys. This ruined any chance they had at making the playoffs. I don't think that they are going to be a playoff contender now. Even if they win out, they need way too much help. They have lost tiebreakers to teams ahead of them, and it just doesn't seem like it's possible. So this is one of those things where it was a little too little, a little too late for the Quinn Williams trades.
I will say, Joe, like it is becoming a bit of a problem, and we see that the Lions, like their secondary is just beat up to shreds, bro. Like it is Terry and Arnold has been banged up. Brian Branch, like you said, done for the year. Kirby Joseph has been hurt. I mean, even their corner, Ennis Rakestraw Jr., who they expected a pretty big leap from this year. I mean, it's just been injury on top of injury. Now, luckily, it wasn't really on all phases of the defense like it was last year. You still see the front seven really doing a damn good job trying to really hold everything together. But I mean, in a league that's pass heavy, on secondary being this banged up usually doesn't lead to anything good. So the Lions, that's kind of why I think the Lions could potentially miss the playoffs and why the Cowboys could maybe backdoor in there. Now, obviously a lot needs to go right. But if the Detroit Lions lose 2 games, that tiebreaker all of a sudden is completely moot. So although I don't know exactly, I'm not too familiar with how ties are because I absolutely hate ties and how they affect the standings. But I will say the Cowboys, they have a shot, but I do completely understand like anybody writing them off at this point. Also, any given Sunday, right? Like any given Sunday, it could be. I mean, we've seen the Giants put up fights against everybody pretty much everybody this year. They haven't really been blown out they've been blown out games, but it's been a while since I've seen it, right? Even with James, regardless with who's playing at the quarterback position. So we'll see, man. I'm really excited to see the finale of this NFC playoff race.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy, especially with all the 9-4, 8-5 teams that you have sitting there, 8-4-1 there with the Packers. It's a log jam right now with record there in the NFC. Just so many 9-win teams, and it's rather incredible to see a division or a conference be that stacked throughout their playoff field. And I think it's going to be probably one of the most entertaining AFC playoff races we've seen in a hot minute. But let's get into the Sunday action, Sammy. So there's a couple games we don't want to spend a lot of time on. Firstly, Titans, Browns, you're going to see, two top tier, highly touted quarterbacks that came out in this draft go against each other, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. I don't think we need to spend too much time on this game. I think that, realistically, if you're watching it, you're just going to see how they look going against each other, going against those defenses. Obviously, the Titans defense not quite as formidable as the Browns defense. So we'll probably learn a little bit more about Cam Ward in this game than Will Shedeur Sanders. But I still think you need to watch this game to see what you get out of Shedeur, because you're looking for that week-to-week improvement, right? And I think that's what a lot of people fail to understand about quarterback play. So when people say, oh, he's only played 6 games or he's only played 3 games, it's not so much about the games he's played, right? It's the marked improvement you can see across the games, right? Like that's the big thing with a lot of people on JJ McCarthy right now, is that you watch JJ McCarthy and you don't really see the marked improvement. You don't see the things going on. You see him continuously. It seems to be week to week his delivery and his throwing motion and all change, and his mechanics are consistently in flux, which is probably the worst thing you want to see in a quarterback, is them not have a solid mechanic foundation, which you're hoping for. I think Shedeur has that solid mechanic foundation. So I want to see the improvement of play. This Titans defense, although isn't formidable, they have some formidable pieces, right? Simmons there in the middle. He is a tough pass defender, really good run stopper. That is going to be probably the player I'm going to be watching to see how he affects the pocket, how he affects Shedeur, and how Shedeur plays this Titans defense. And on the flip side, Cam Ward, this is probably one of the hardest defenses Cam Ward has seen to date. Just absolute ballers there. And the big story in this game, Sammy, does Myles Garrett break the record here? Do you think because he can get after Cam Ward, and this Titans offensive line is not good.
I think this might the sack record is what, 22, I believe.
21, I think it's 21.
I mean, look, man, if there's any game for him to get it, it might be this game, because of the fact that quite frankly, he's dealing with a bad offensive line. And you know how Cam Ward is. Cam Ward, much like Shedeur Sanders, is going to want to make a play, right? And it's going to be a lot harder running away from that specimen that is Myles Garrett. I will say this, if you're going to watch this game, it's because of the history that could be made because of Myles Garrett, one of the greatest defensive players of this generation, already within 2.5 sacks of breaking a sack record. That 3.5 sacks, 3.5 sacks that could. I mean, that's just.
Does it matter? Does it matter how many it actually is?
I mean, it's really, he might finish with like 27, like at this rate. I mean,
if he breaks it this game, there's a chance he goes over 30.
Oh man, I don't know about all that. I mean, you still have some good, solid offensive lines that he still has to play. But I mean, even
Titans,
against
Bears, Bills, Steelers, Bengals.
I mean, they're solid. I never said they were great by any means. I'm just saying that those teams can scheme up a way to prevent that record. The Titans don't really have the personnel, regardless of what they scheme up. So if there's a game that this happens, and by the way, isn't it crazy that it's like, yes, you could say, oh, Myles Garrett isn't doing this in a 16-game season. Guys, we've only played 12 weeks?
We're heading into week 14. This is week 14.
This is week 14. So if he breaks it to this week, or even next week or the week after, if he breaks it in the next 3 weeks, 3 games, he broke the record. It's over. And he did it within the record margin that people all love to do.
He's played 12 games. This is their 13th game. Just so we're clear, this is 13th game.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen within the margin of some people who like to gatekeep these records. Guys, it's happening. Okay.
It's going to happen. I think it's going to happen this weekend.
Look, man, it could. It 1000% could. This offensive line is horrendous. Okay. So you're there for Myles Garrett, and then you're there to see Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders hopefully put on some sort of show. I mean, I don't know how much of a show Cam Ward's going to pull up. He's probably going to be running for his life. If you like seeing people run for their lives, I think that'll be something good. If you like
There's
horror
people out
movies,
there.
but I mean, it's just. Yeah, you're there for Shedeur Sanders to see his development. You're there for Cam Ward and to see his development, and you're there for history to be made. But that's pretty much all the reason why you should be watching this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I'll probably have it on just to see possibly history be made there. I think it's going to be incredible. But let's go ahead and talk about another game that I don't think we need to spend too much time on. The Seahawks are going to be traveling to Atlanta to face the Falcons. Obviously, the Falcons without Michael Penix. I don't see this being a crazy game. I feel like the Seahawks this is a tune-up game for the Seahawks before they go back, and I believe they have to face the Rams again one more time. So you look at the Seahawks and the Falcons here. I don't think we need to spend too much time in this game. I think Sam Darnold gets back on track. We're going to see a game here. Granted, this Falcons defense was a very formidable pass defense early on in the year, but I don't think they have the playmakers to match up against this Seahawks offense at all. So we can blow right past that one and go to a game that actually matters. And I say it matters because both of these teams are still very much alive for their division races. And that is the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills. And Joe Burrow is back. Jamar Chase is back. There's a chance they have T. Higgins back, who missed last week with a concussion and concussion protocol. So they will be a fully loaded Bengals team. Chase Brown is there. You know, you're going to see this fully loaded, explosive offense go up against a Bills team that really has their backs against the wall when you think about how porous and how poor this defense has played, the pieces that they're missing on the defensive side, and the fact that they have no playmakers in the passing game on the Bills offense. So this is a massive game for both of these teams. Obviously, the Bengals need to win out to keep their playoff hopes alive which was pretty much out of the question 4 weeks ago. And now they seem like they have a really big chance because the Ravens and the Steelers haven't separated themselves, and both of those teams play this week. They could be 2 games out they're 2 games out right now of the division race, and they still have one more game against the Ravens. So they have a shot to get into this division if things go their way. So, Sammy, how do you see this game going? And can the Bengals sneak a win in Buffalo?
Man, it'll be difficult. I think the Bills are still trying to find a way to catch up to the Patriots and are hoping maybe the Patriots slip a game. Although from the way it looks like, it just doesn't seem like the Patriots are going to lose that much more this year, given that their schedule. I'm looking at these two teams and I'm just wondering how Joe Burrow and the Bengals and this run game that the Bengals have that really isn't impressive. How is it going to do against a run defense in the Bills that hasn't been good this year? This is the 30th ranked rush defense that the Bills have, but unfortunately, the Bengals have one of the worst run games in the entire league. But we've seen the Bills against lackluster run games give up a bunch of yards, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. That's a way that the Bengals can expose them. Another way is through this Bills secondary that has been, I mean, it's been good. It's been good, but they're about to face a wide receiving core, in my opinion, the best wide receiving core that they're ever going to play for the rest of the season, and that's Jamar Chase. T. Higgins is back, and now he has Joe Burrow throwing him the ball. And I think that all bets are off now. I mean, you're dealing with the high-powered offense that has been so prominent throughout these last couple of seasons. So it's going to be interesting. But ultimately now we have to talk about the fact that the Bengals defense it isn't good. Again, okay, it always leads back to this. Now, granted, last week it was good. It was actually not that bad. It wasn't.
Week before they looked good against the Patriots. I mean,
and against the Patriots, it didn't look bad either. But although I like to chalk that up, when I see games like that, what I usually do is I chalk that up as it happens. Like the Patriots are due to have a down offensive game because right now what the Patriots are doing, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about the Patriots because we're going to get to them.
And they're on a bye week.
I forgot they were on a bye week. Yeah.
We already won a week, man. We're on a bye.
Apologies. Patriots are on a bye week. I feel like what the Patriots are doing, they're just kind of coasting through the season, and they're bound to get punched in the mouth a bit. But if you survive the punch in the mouth and eventually win by decision against an inferior opponent, opponent, doesn't really matter a win's a win. Now, that's just my opinion. Granted, there are some smidges of concern that you could raise up, but I'm not too concerned for Drake May. I'm just not. This defense is still one of the worst in the entire league. Okay, they're last in points per game, one of the worst passing defense, one of the worst rushing defenses, and ultimately they're facing an amazing rushing offense headlined by Josh Allen and James Cook, and that's something that I think the Bills are going to pound the Bengals with, just the run game. Okay, run it down their throat because they don't really have any kind of resistance. And churn the clock. Look, if the Bengals want to make this a shootout, that's the only way they're gonna win. But it's hard to make it a shootout if you don't have the ball. So if 2-3 stops might be enough if the Bills hold on to the ball for 35 to 40 minutes. Now, I don't know if it's going to be that much time of possession, but it's not out of the realm of possibility given the Bengals' weakness as a run game. So, look, I know like the thought of the Bengals potentially winning this division was fun, but ultimately whenever the more things change, the more they stay the same. The Bengals defense to me still isn't that good, and I don't expect any changes there. I think the Bills are going to win this game, not comfortably, because look, we're facing a really, really high-powered offense with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Not comfortably, but I think the Bills get it done.
It's funny because, we're talking about a high-powered offense versus an offense that's struggling to find its identity in the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
I just see the Bengals, if this turns into a foot race, because neither of these defenses realistically can stop what the other offense is really trying to do. I think the Bengals are built to win this game. I really do. I think they have a shot. And, Buffalo has been struggling to find their identity on offense all season, right? Which we've been pounding the table saying is James Cook. Right now, your entire identity on offense is running the football, whether it's with your quarterback, with your running back, some sort of RPO, some sort of, just run option, whatever it is. That's how you win football games in Buffalo right now. It's not throwing the football. Josh Allen throwing the football right now is not how this team is going to win football games from an offensive perspective because they don't have anyone to catch the football. And I understand Brandon Cook's now 2 weeks in the offense. You're hoping it's a spark, but it's not going to be. He is not what he was. He hasn't been what he was since he got knocked out in that Eagles-Patriots game. You haven't seen him be the same, right? I don't know if it's, what it is there, but that was sort of like the turning of the tide in Brandon Cook's career of being a competent NFL, wide receiver one. He's not that guy anymore. He's a supporting piece. So I think the Bengals can win this game. Do I think they're going to win this game? Probably not. It's December. It's in Buffalo. That's a hard place to play when it's September, let alone December at the end of the year. So I don't see that happening, but either way, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a lot tighter than people think it's going to be. Buffalo is by no means, in my mind, going to just blow this game open and win by 2 scores. I don't see that happening. To your point, I think it's going to be a close game. But we'll go ahead and move on here right now. So I think we can, kind of to speed right past Commanders, Vikings, 2 teams, no playoff implications there. Jayden Daniels is back.
Jayden Daniels is back, and it's going to be funny with JJ McCarthy back just to see that pan out. I'm not going to lie. I don't want to talk about this game any further because we're talking about JJ McCarthy here, and he stinks. But, I mean, JD5 being back is definitely even though the season is over for the Commanders, I think that's awesome to see that he came back from such what looked like a grueling injury, really. I didn't think he'd be back this year. What I hope is that he doesn't get hurt for the rest of the season because it's kind of a lost season right now, especially in the NFC.
It doesn't make a lot of sense bringing him back, but the fans want to see him. You got to put butts in seats. I understand it. I'm happy to see him out there. I think JJ. I think that the Commanders and their fan base and this team is excited to see Jayden Daniels suit up, excited to see him play football, but I think the coaching staff should handle him with kid gloves out there. I don't think they should put him in plays that are risky, especially with how blitz happy this Vikings defense can be. They are very, very blitz happy under Flores there. Brian Flores loves to send extra bodies at the quarterback as much as possible. And, it's a dangerous situation. We saw how the Vikings got after Sam Darnold. I mean, that was a team that had given up the fewest sacks essentially all year. And they were after Sam Darnold pretty much all afternoon with their exotic blitz package, which is very difficult to identify pre-snap and very difficult to get your protection right. So this is a very interesting game from that perspective of, seeing how Jaden Daniels handles that, how mobile he is, how willing are the Commanders to put him in situations where, he could possibly take a hit. I think, obviously you want to win the football game, but it is more important to win next year than it is to win one game in a lost season in 2025. So that's it. We're done with Washington. We're done. We're done with the Commanders. We're done with the Vikings. Let's move on to a game that actually still has a little bit of playoff hope to it. Neither of these teams are technically mathematically eliminated right now, although I feel that one will be after this game. Dolphins Jets, Sammy. The Dolphins are still alive. Their playoff hopes aren't completely smothered out yet. They still have a shot. They're going up against the Jets in the Meadowlands. They still have a chance, Sammy. So do you think the Dolphins get this win and keep their playoff hopes alive, but they will need some help eventually to get in?
It's going to be very, very, very interesting because last year when we went to the Meadowlands, it did not end very well because we had an opportunity to really make the playoffs and unfortunately we lost, and so it was a very unfortunate season there. A game where Tua Tagovailoa, I don't believe, played, but Tua will be healthy for this game, thank goodness. And the rest of the team coming off a bye week is going to be, or not off a bye week, but coming off their win against New Orleans. The dominant and a very scary, spooky New Orleans Saints. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game. I want to shout out Devon Achane. Devon Achane should be an All-Pro. Devon Achane has been that good this year. I believe he is the reason Dolphins football is watchable. He is the reason Dolphins football has been entertaining at all this year. And the fact that we are 5-7 is because of Devon Achane. Make no mistake about it. Extend him now. Anyway, this game against the Jets, it's quite simple. Don't screw up. I don't think I need to really explain it any softer. Look, shout out to Aaron Glenn getting his third win of the season, I believe, against the Falcons. So that's exciting. Aaron Glenn, a couple of wins. Like there was a point this season where I thought it was going to be one and done. Like it was looking really, really bad. But he's I wouldn't say he's righted the ship, but he's they're about to be in a bit of a rough landing, but they're landing the plane nonetheless. So it's a very bad landing, but they're still all the passengers are still alive, so to speak. I'll say this. It being the year after, look, Robert Saleh was the head coach last year, and it felt like it was a given that their defenses were just a lock, right? This year, it has been the complete opposite. This team is 27th in points per game, which really is unheard of. Like when you think of Jets defenses, you don't really, especially the last like 3-4 years, you think like they're like top 5 or even top 10 or even top 5. This year they're bottom half of the league in points per game, bottom half in total yards per game. They have not had a good run defense either. And then the offense, I mean, you have Justin Fields as quarterback, so I don't really expect much there. And then Tyrod Taylor probably gives them a better chance to win more than any QB on their roster right now.
Easy day.
So I am a little scared because Tyrod Taylor has had games against us where he's played relatively good. But look, the expectation should be to win. Miami has won 4 out of their last 5 games, including a game against the Bills that I will cherish for the rest of the season because it might be the highest point of the season so far. Look, man, if we're 6-7 heading into Pittsburgh, I mean, watch out. I mean, I wouldn't say Pittsburgh are world beaters. We could be 7-7. Man, we could be, 7.
He's getting his hopes up, ladies and gentlemen. He's getting his hopes up.
It's getting a little spooky and scary. It's getting a little spooky and scary for the rest of the AFC against for the Dolphins. So yeah, it's blind faith. It's delusional, but I believe, Joe.
Yeah, and hey, you know what? You guys don't have to worry about the weather in the Meadowlands. It's going to be 42 degrees, which means that it is the perfect type of weather because it's not below 40 degrees. I mean, Tua can win this game.
Tua can
next
play,
week. Next week in Pittsburgh, that might not be the case. But to your point, Sammy, if everything goes right for the Dolphins, they're sitting right on the cusp of the playoffs because they'll be 6-7. They'll be ahead. They'll be right there with the Chiefs. They'll be right there with the Pittsburgh Steelers, if the Steelers lose this game, they have a shot still to get into this playoff race where you have teams like the Chargers and Justin Herbert, who's got a fractured hand. How is that going to affect them? Indianapolis Colts, their starting quarterback, Daniel Jones, has a fractured fibula. The Dolphins could sneak in because of the woes and injuries that the other teams are having right now, which is a wild concept. But Miami fans, you guys might just sneak out a playoff game this year. Granted, you're probably at that point going to get the 7th seed and travel to Denver, which is, probably one of the coldest places to play in the month of January ever.
But it's better than facing the boogeyman on the road, okay? I would much rather face Bo Nix on the road than Patrick Mahomes. Believe me, no disrespect to Bo Nix, but I'll happily take that, especially given how our defense has played as of late.
Yeah, but you got to win against the Jets.
Yeah, we got to win first, guys.
So let's go ahead and move on. I don't think we need to talk about the Saints-Bucks game. The Bucks are getting healthy. The Saints are the Saints. Sorry, the Saints are traveling to Tampa.
Baker, get healthy, get fully freshened up, please, for God's sake. Okay, for my sake, I beg of you.
Because if the Bucks fumble the NFC South and let the Panthers win it, Matt will be insufferable. We won't be able to live with this man. All right. No. We won't be able to come on here with this man and listen to him talk all this Panthers nonsense.
Take care of business, please, man. Take care of business. Jeez, man. They're gonna scare me.
So let's go ahead and head on down to Duval County, and we will be talking about the Colts and Jaguars. And Sammy, you yourself want the Colts to win this game just so you can continue your historic track record of Trevor Lawrence slander.
It is not historic. It is not.
For you, it is a culture.
That is like blown completely out of proportion. I don't hate Trevor Lawrence. I just think that when you are pounding my throat with generational talent, in my opinion, I don't understand why you keep saying these things and them not be true. Okay, I just hate it. I hate when like lies are just complete, like always thrown my way, and I see right through them. Joe, you saw right through them, right? So I am simply seeing the obvious, and that's that, the Jacksonville Jaguars, in spite of their 8-4 record, it's not really like that impressive. It's not really.
It is a little impressive, though. It is a little impressive. Do you know right now the Jacksonville Jaguars have had a higher strength of victory and a higher strength of schedule than any other current AFC playoff team? Strength of schedule. You ready for this? 0.493. Strength of victory, 0.439. There is no other team currently in the playoffs that has a strength of schedule above 0.480 and a strength of victory above 0.435 outside of the Jacksonville Jaguars. The closest strength of schedule is the Baltimore Ravens at 4.76. Close behind them is 4.73 in Buffalo. And the closest strength of victory is Buffalo's 4.33. So the Jacksonville Jaguars, based on the teams they have beaten and the teams they have played, are technically the most tried and true playoff team in the AFC right now.
Oh my goodness. I don't even believe that, honestly. Like those are just the numbers I see with
ESPN, baby. I'm looking at it right now.
I understand numbers don't lie, but neither do my eyes. Okay. My eyes have seen a very, very average football team. Okay. I do not care. Now, granted, I'll say this. Winning against the wins against Houston, the wins against San Francisco, right? The wins against Kansas City, wins against LA in particular. I mean, beating the Chargers by 29 points, impressive. But they also almost lost against Arizona. They got blown out by the Rams. They choked a huge lead against Houston. They only won by 1 against Las Vegas. And then they faced the Tennessee Titans. Unfortunately, the Tennessee Titans are going to be the AFC South's punching bag because because the Jacksonville Jaguars are facing them to end the year. Very, very ceremonial for them. But I will say this. Shout out to Liam Cohen, because Liam Cohen has done a fantastic job. In spite of Trevor Lawrence being incredibly average this year, average to below average, this team has stayed together. And there are some strengths. They're the number one rush defense in the league. So it's not like they're without their it's not like they're without their strengths. It's just I don't know if those said strengths are going to translate a lot in come playoff time. Now granted, a good rushing defense could, but being a top team in takeaways also, I don't know if that's going to completely translate over to the playoffs. I don't know. But I will but I will say this. They're very fortunate. They're very fortunate to be playing a very compromised Indianapolis Colts. Joe, you said you believed in this team, and it is very unlucky. We've all given you a pardon because of how unlucky the Indianapolis Colts have. Well, I have. I don't know about Matt. I don't think
Matt
Matt's
wouldn't
gonna
give
do
me.
so.
Matt
Matt's
won't ever give
not
me
gonna.
freebies.
See, I'm actually a gracious person. You see, I'm not going to do that to you. I understand you and your situation. It's very unfortunate that the Indianapolis Colts are dealing with that kind of injury because Daniel Jones, there's no way he's going to be playing the same kind of brand of football he was early on this year with that kind of injury. The fact that he's even playing through this injury is just like he's a warrior for that.
Absolutely. No one can question his toughness.
No one can. And look, I'll say this. If there's anything that's going to favor the Colts, it's the fact that the Jacksonville Jaguars don't really get to the QB at like a high rate. They're 22nd in the league in sacks. Now they do have some solid pass rushers. I would say Josh Hines Allen is pretty damn solid. And then in the interior, Eric Armstead has been solid as well. But I mean, it's very hard for. I think they've been way better in. I think they're a lot more. Their strength is really in their coverage and in their run defense than it is in their pass rush. So I think Daniel Jones, if he could stay in the pocket and just hit his targets, they might have a chance. And for Jonathan Taylor, if you're the MVP man, if you go off against a defense like this, man, the MVP talks will heat up once again. They've cooled down a bit last couple of games. But if you can go off against this Jags defense, the number one rushing defense in the league, they'll wake up again. I'm gonna pick the Colts to win this game, man. I do think Shane Steichen is gonna develop a good game plan to protect Daniel Jones and to get the run game going. Although the Jacksonville Jaguars have had some strong victories this year, I just haven't seen enough consistency offensively for me to trust them. So, and mainly because of Trevor Lawrence, I will say. So, yeah, sorry to get back to that one point, but like it just is what it is. So, yeah, give me the Colts in this game, but I do expect it to be an ugly one.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take the Jaguars in this game. And I think that the addition of Jacoby Myers to this wide receiver core just adds a new wrinkle. They have a reliable wide receiver there. Parker Washington is good. I think Brian Thomas Jr. needs to figure out his drop problem. He has not had good hands this year. But if he can start catching these footballs at the high clip he was last year, look out. This team has the weapons with Travis Etienne Jr. We know Bashal Tootin can knock the top off. We had one of the fastest 40 times at the NFL Combine this season. Coming in the draft, he has shown explosiveness there. He's shown to be a between tackles guy. He can definitely break one if he gets an opportunity. And Trevor Lawrence is starting to be comfortable in this Liam Cohen offense, which is something we've been waiting for all year. We were like, finally, a good, competent offensive coordinator in Jacksonville. Or, some guy's got an offensive mind that can do something here. And I think this team is starting to click at the perfect time offensively. I think Trevor Lawrence really has what it's going to be taking here. And they're going up against a team that if Daniel Jones isn't winning for him right now, it's all going to be on Jonathan Taylor. So I'm going to take the Jaguars in this game at home. The Colts do not play well in Duval County. And I think that this is the time where the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be able to set themselves apart here a little bit in this division and kind of take it home. So I'm going to take the Jaguars in this game for sure. I think they hold on to the division lead for another week here, and the Colts could find themselves out of the playoffs here very, very shortly if they don't find some wins. But this is a hard schedule for the Indianapolis Colts the rest of the way. So every game for them is a must-win game. They have to find some time, and realistically, they've really regressed to a point where we thought they were going to have a first round bye, which would have been very beneficial for that leg. But now it looks like no easy sledding for the Colts the rest of the way. But let's go to another divisional game which is very much for the division lead. And it doesn't have quite the substance, I don't think, of years past, and it doesn't have quite the substance of the AFC South match we just talked about. It is Steelers Ravens in Baltimore. And you think of the history between these two teams, Sammy. You talk about the players and some of the matchups we've seen between these two teams, and them just go back and forth, and the just greatness that this used to be, and it's kind of lost a little bit of its luster. Lamar Jackson is severely hampered. We know he's dealing with a foot injury and a hamstring injury there. His mobility has looked like it is completely gone right now. He does not look as mobile, not as willing to run right now, not as willing to get outside the pocket, which is a big part of his game. And I said it on a recording we did a while back where, if you ever wondered what Lamar Jackson would look like when his athleticism left him and he was forced to become more of a passer than he was someone who's mobile, you're seeing it right now. This is what Lamar Jackson looks like when he can't run with the ball, which means that he is probably one of the most volatile quarterbacks that you can have in the NFL. He realistically is, because the minute that he has a lower body injury, the man is compromised. And, granted, you can say it with a lot of quarterbacks, but him, Daniel Jones, you start to think about some of these quarterbacks that we've talked about that have these injuries right now. When push comes to shove and they lose that ability to get outside of the pocket, right? I would say the same thing with you have the same questions with Josh Allen a little bit there. Patrick Mahomes has shown he can throw from inside the pocket. I don't think he's as effective as a passer from inside the pocket. I think that, his ability to extend plays and kind of go off script is one of the things that he's become well known for. But Lamar Jackson is just as well known for that, and it's not there right now. On the flip side of that, Aaron Rodgers is beat up right now. Lots of injuries there. He was bleeding from his face last week after the Bosa sack there. So you're kind of looking at this whole thing right now, and it's coming to a head because the loser of this game realistically is going to be outside of the playoffs, barring something crazy happening. So who do you think wins this game and ultimately is probably going to take home the AFC North?
I will say that it's just a matter of what I know how the Bengals looked last week, but I still trust the Ravens to get right the ship. I expect Lamar to right the ship, and I just don't expect that same thing from the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a team that's lost 3 of their last 4 games, and look, it's very odd for me to talk about the Steelers because like I feel like this is really like the swan song for Mike Tomlin, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
And I know a lot of people want it. If he wins this game, maybe the tone is different, but it really doesn't change even if they win this game. And I don't think it should. As if anything, you should be rooting. I don't agree in rooting for teams to lose, but if you want change in that organization and not the exact same thing over and over again, then you'd probably be hoping that a losing result happens in this game. And let me tell you something, it's not a far possibility. I believe the Ravens are going to be at home in this game, and look,
Favored
Baltimore.
by 6 points.
Look, I know this is one of those rivalry games, and I know you say it doesn't have as much juice. I think it's still, of course, in the past it's been a lot more prestigious, but I still think every time these two teams play, it's always hard hitting. It's always personal. But it feels like it's lost its spark because both teams have been one team is exactly who we thought they were, and the other team has kind of like been less than. And because of that, it's really taken the spark out of this rivalry. But I just don't trust Pittsburgh. I don't trust Pittsburgh's defense. I don't trust their offense. I think they've been bad all year long, and they've gotten away with it. I cannot believe the Patriots lost to this team. I can't believe the Steelers beat this team. I cannot believe they beat Indianapolis because the rest of these, every other game, it's just been them being out. Like the later the games go on, the more gas is run out. And look, with Aaron Rodgers playing through injury and this team being old and Darius Slay is not going to be cut, it's quite simple. It's quite simple. This team, in my opinion, I don't think they're going to be able to stop the run. I think if there's any game for the run game to revamp, for Lamar's run game to revamp, it's against this team. I think it's very possible that it's against this team. Now, with the Ravens, it's really about getting back to what made you great, and it's running the football. and not turning the ball over while you're at it. Turning the ball over 5 times is insane, but I don't think it's going to happen again. I don't think Lamar Jackson hasn't really turned the football over at like a crazy clip these last couple of seasons. I mean, this last game was really an anomaly. He didn't really have that many turnovers. He didn't really have that many turnovers last year or this year. Granted, he's been hurt this year. I will say this. The Ravens are, in my opinion, if they can shake off whatever the heck happened against them in Thanksgiving night, if they can come back home and if they could beat the Steelers, I think the juices will start flowing again. And if you're looking at this schedule, a great chance next week after that to bounce back from that said loss on the road. The worry becomes after that game, because after that game, they run into a buzzsaw with the New England Patriots. They run into the Packers, who have looked a lot better. I don't know what it is with Jordan Love and Toyotathon, but something about that month really, really gets him going, or about that trend really, really gets him going. It's going to be a very, very difficult finish for the Ravens. But hey, man, like if 2 wins in these next 2 weeks against the division gives them a cushion, and you better hope that the Bengals don't start to heat up Ravens fans, because if they do, your schedule against the Patriots and against the Packers in particular, it's going to be rough. I'm going to pick the Ravens to win this game, Joe. I think since it's a rivalry game, it's going to be close, and really that's it. All bets are off in rivalry games, and this is going to be one of them.
Yeah, I mean, trust me. On paper, everything tells you the Ravens are winning this football game. It's in Baltimore. Yeah. They have the better teams. They have the better players. Everything about the Baltimore Ravens is better. However, in games that the Pittsburgh Steelers are able to force turnovers, they are in and they often win, which we look at that Colts game, we look at that Patriots game. So turnover battle is going to be big. And you look at that game against the Bills where the Ravens turned the ball over pretty or not against the Bills, I apologize. Again, against the Bengals, where they turned the ball over quite a bit and got blown out in Joe Burrow's first game back. Big rivalry game. And, that one was at home too. So I don't know, man. I need to see it from Lamar Jackson. I need to see the healthy Lamar Jackson. I'm going to pick the Ravens here, but it's not by a lot. I think this game is going to be close. And you got game wreckers on that front line there for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they are fighting and they are clawing and they are chippy right now. Look no further than that game against the Buffalo Bills last week. But let's go ahead and move on to we can blow right past the Broncos-Raiders game. It's in Las Vegas. The Broncos are going to be 11-2. They're going to take the 1 seed in the AFC with the Patriots on the bye week. I don't think we need to really talk about that much realistically at all. The Ravens should be developing their younger players. The season is lost, and this is probably one of the worst seasons I've seen Pete Carroll have as a head coach ever. Bar none, hands down, we can move on to another divisional game that has a lot of implications, as well as the Bears travel to the Lambeau Field to face the Green Bay Packers. And I tell you what, it is going to be 17 degrees outside in Lambeau at game time at 3:25 p.m. Central Time on Fox. And I want to be honest with you, man. Matt tried to tell us the last time we did a recording, and we were talking about frauds on NFC playoff frauds and for real teams, right? And he tried to tell me that the Bears got that monkey off their back last year. They went to Lambeau in Week 18 and they won. Jordan Love played like 2 drives. Josh Jacobs carried the ball like 6 times. And the Bears squeaked out a victory playing all their starters against a bunch of backups. So I'm not taking that. Nope. That's a moral victory, Bears fans, Absolutely. And you shouldn't want it either. That's a moral victory. You managed to win a moral victory in Lambeau Field. This one's for real. This is playoff implications. This is the NFC North. This is the time that the Chicago Bears need to go into Lambeau and take care of business and put a stamp on the NFC North belongs in Soldier Field right now, because every other team in this division has fallen off, and the Bears seem on the rise with Ben Johnson, who early on in the season, we were talking about him as being a possible Coach of the Year candidate, and as the season went on, we were like, I don't think so. Everything's starting to click for this team, Sammy. I'm still not 100% behind Caleb Williams. But I think the offense is starting to come together. You're seeing the tight ends begin to be involved. Caleb Williams is beginning to look better and better each week, and the defense is getting after players. The question is, can they do it in Lambeau? I'm not so sure, but you know what? To hell with it. I'm wearing my Cubs shirt right now. I grew up just outside of Chicago. Granted, I'm a Patriots fan. We'll get into that little rigmarole later if anyone wants to know. I'm going to go Bears here. Chicago's going to win this game. They're going to win a real game in Lambeau. They're going to put their stamp on the NFC North, and they are going to win this division. And they just might, Sammy, just might be able to walk out of here with a solid chance at the 1 seed and a bye week in the NFC.
It's crazy, but it's not crazy when you really think about it. Really, it's just the Bears really do seem to have turned it all around and changed the narrative around them. And look, I never thought in my wildest dreams, I always saw improvement, but 9-3, I don't think anybody saw that coming in.
No.
And especially given the start that they had, losing to Minnesota against JJ McCarthy, which in hindsight is terrible. And then losing by 31 to Detroit, I don't think anybody saw really a light at the end of the tunnel for Ben Johnson and these Chicago Bears. But guess what? Even though they've squeaked by for most of their games, after that win against Philly, I think if there's any time for anybody to start believing, it's now. I know I called them frauds. If spoiler for the video that it's going to be dropping very soon, but I know I called them frauds, but man, a great run game can change everything. A great run game really can. But with that being said, the Packers have a damn good run defense, so it's not like they're and it's not like it's not like the Packers defense is anything to like just wave your hand about. Like this defense is. This is the best front seven in football. I've said it before and I'll say it again. And look, it's a different beast. It's straight up a different beast that the Bears are going to be facing. And from that performance that Jordan Love just recently had, it seems like they've started to like heat up offensively as well. Look, man, I want to believe in this Bears team. I want to believe it, but I'm not going to go through with it just quite yet. I think this run game gets neutralized. I think they pressure Caleb Williams, and I think this offense continues to click in spite of the injuries. Jordan Love, I think, is going to light this Bears defense up, and this Bears defense hasn't been playing that well, really hasn't. So I'm going to give it to the Packers in Lambeau Field. I get it. The Bears, it feels different. It might be cool. It might be like great being 9-3, but I'm sorry, man. I'm gonna give it to the Packers in Lambeau Field. Prove me wrong one more time, and I'll be fully sold. But until then, I'm gonna go with the Packers, Joe.
That's a big statement from you, Sammy, because you have said some very heinous things about Jordan Love. You walked it back recently.
Right? I have.
You walked it back recently.
Look, yes. I haven't walked back too much, though. I still don't think Jordan Love is that good, but Toyotathon Jordan Love is different. Okay, we've seen it. There's too much evidence.
Toyotathon.
I go
oh
off
my God.
Evidence, and the evidence shows that Toyotathon Jordan Love is a top 5 QB in the league. I can't explain it. It's just the truth. Now, outside of Toyotathon, my statements about Jordan Love are very, very clear and very, very obvious. But I will say, I was being a bit harsh to Jordan Love before. I've kind of toned back because he's been playing a little bit better throughout the weeks. Okay, he has, and he's been dealing with a banged up wide receiving core. Okay, I don't like walking back comments, but I've seen new evidence. And I'm just like tweaking it just a bit. Okay. It's not like I'm not out here saying that he's top 10 by any means. He's far from that. I'm just saying he's good. He's a good QB. He's been all right. And against this Bears defense, I don't think it poses that big of a threat. I don't think it's better than the Lions defense, right, Joe? Like, I mean,
No,
I
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
say
say
so.
they don't have the players. I don't think they have as many players there. So I'm going to say, Sammy, that's a sign of an honorable man, a man that can admit that he may have been wrong. That's a sign of an honorable man. I do the same
Whoa,
thing a
whoa,
lot.
whoa! I was not wrong per se. Like he wasn't playing well. Like let me reel this in. I wasn't necessarily wrong. Okay, it is Toyota-thon. It is Toyota-thon. Let's call this like a bracket of like games that happen. When does Toyota-thon end? Is would be my question, right, Joe? Like when does it end? And when it ends, that's when my opinion is back. But until Toyota-thon ends, I mean, look, man, the evidence is there. You're looking at
Runs through the first week of January.
First week of January, damn. Hey, for this entire month, guys, he's gonna be really good. But come January, not so much. I'm just sensing it, you know. Plus, look, they're gonna be facing like better teams, like the Rams, the Seahawks, right? Like they're gonna be facing better teams. So we'll see. If anything, I could be like just downright wrong, right, Joe? I could be, but I'm not going.
We could be. Hey, you know what? Hey, I got a question for you though. I'm gonna do this real quick, just so we can show you that if you could start a NFL franchise.
Oh boy.
Would you start with Jordan Love or Caleb Williams?
Oh, Caleb Williams.
Oh my God! Okay, all right. Packers fans, you heard it here. He's going with your team, but he would rather.
Caleb Williams. Okay, do not care. I know a lot of people. I know Caleb hasn't looked great, but Caleb Williams, his upside, in my opinion, and his ceiling is so much higher than Jordan Love's. And I know his floor is pretty low, but I think Jordan Love's floor, while it is higher, his ceiling is a lot lower. And because of that, I'm taking Caleb Williams. I know that shouldn't be a hot take, ladies and gentlemen. It shouldn't be a hot take. It's Caleb Williams. Okay?
That's gonna be a short.
I know you set me up. I don't like that. I hate that actually. I hate you for doing that. But you know what? No, I'm gonna stand on it. Chicago, you have a better QB than Green Bay. Okay, your QB that you have right now is a better QB, and I'd prefer him in the future than Green Bay's QB. I bet you haven't heard that in like decades. Okay, or ever, right? I mean, are there any 60-year-old Packers or Bears fans like wandering the streets? No, ever, right? Because they haven't had a QB.
They've never had a franchise quarterback. No, I think they're never had a franchise leader in receiving yards is something like 5,400.
Oh, good Lord. Okay, yeah. Good Lord. Oh man, you guys suck, man.
Hey, they got a Super Bowl in '85, man. They've won more recently than the Dolphins have.
85 Bears. I mean,
and they went again to face the Colts.
Yeah, congrats to them. I just think that that's rough, man. Like not having a QB for that long. Jeez, man. Good Lord. I'm surprised that their fan base is still like their fan base has stayed sane after the 85 Bears. Like how do you live with that?
The all-time leader in passing yards for the Chicago Bears is Jay Cutler with 23,443.
Oh, he's a legend though. Jay Cutler's a legend. I guarantee you there were some people who thought Jay Cutler was going to be the truth. He's also a Miami Dolphin legend. He gave us a fun season. So
Johnny Morris, 5,059 yards.
Poor guy.
Leading receiver.
Roma Dunze is going to crack that, hopefully. I mean, he's not off to the best of starts, but I mean,
Johnny Morris played from 1958 to 1967.
Oh my goodness.
But enough of Bears, enough of Packers. Last game before we get into the evening slate, Sunday Night Football. We're going to be talking about that on our next live after we recap all of the early action from Sunday. We'll be then previewing Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. So we're going to talk about the final game that we will be previewing. Los Angeles Rams, Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, this game doesn't have as much to it as the Bears-Packers games do and everything like that. But there are some things to talk about here. And it's less about the LA Rams, and it's more about the Arizona Cardinals, where we are currently seeing right now Jacoby Brissett has got this offense clicking in a way that Kyler Murray never could. And is that because Kyler Murray doesn't fit in the system, or is it because Kyler Murray isn't focused in on football as much as he should be? As we know, every time a major first-person shooter comes out, Battlefield, Call of Duty, whatever it may be, it seems that Kyler Murray's numbers dip. And we know he's an avid gamer. Whatever it may be, this looks like the end of the road in Arizona for Kyler Murray. And I think Jacoby Brissett could be the starter coming into next year. And they're going to draft a quarterback. I really think that the Arizona Cardinals are going to draft a quarterback and run with Jacoby Brissett, who does not look like the Jacoby Brissett that the Patriots rolled out there last year. And it is clear now that the offensive system last year with Gerard Mayo and Alex Van Pelt and everything that went on last year in New England held those players back.
Stop projecting. Okay, it happened. Okay, we can move on. Your team is 11-2. Okay, you don't have to speak about that year anymore, Joe. Jeez, man, bring PTSD to all your Patriots viewers, bro. Don't do that to them.
But I think that Jacoby Brissett is going to be an Arizona Cardinal come next year, and I don't know who they're going to go get in the draft, but I think they go get a young quarterback. And this team, I think, like they're snake bitten, right? Like we saw them have one of the worst losses we've ever seen to the Tennessee Titans, right? Tennessee Titans should very much not have a win right now if the Arizona Cardinals had not just handed them a game that they had no business handing away. But you kind of look at this game, and I think the Arizona Cardinals are feisty, man. This could be a trap game if the Rams hadn't just had one against the Panthers in Carolina. However, they're on the road again. They're in Arizona. This is a divisional game, and we all know divisional games are tough. So we're going to talk about it a little bit. Do you think the Arizona Cardinals have a shot in this game, which is currently based on DraftKings odds? The Rams are favored at a spread at 8.5 right now.
I think the Rams are going to wash them. I do. I know, a divisional game is interesting, but I think the Rams – they got their trap game out the way against the Panthers, and I think this game they should handle it. I think they should cover. I don't picture the Cardinals. I don't want to say they're not going to be competitive, but I will say that it's just hard for me to see them competing. I know they're at home, and I know it's like their passing offense has been very impressive given what has happened this year. But I do think that this Rams team is on a mission. I don't think they're going to have an answer for Matthew Stafford. I don't think they're going to have an answer for Puka or Devontae Adams. I don't think they're going to have an answer for this Rams defense. I just don't think they're going to have an answer. Now, I will say that it's been a lot of unlucky stretches, right? Like they've lost multiple games by 1 point, multiple games by 3 points, multiple games by 4 points. Okay. Like it's been one possession loss after one possession loss this year, which favor has not favored them. So I don't think that they're as bad as their record says.
No.
But this honestly to me just speaks more about it. To me speaks more about the Rams than it does about the Cardinals. I think the Rams they should be the favorite to win the Super Bowl in the NFC. I think I've said multiple times this is the best team in the league. And I think to prove it, they're going to take care of business here against the Cardinals. What I'm worried about is their QB situation moving forward. I mean, like they are clearly moving on from Kyler Murray. I think it's happening. Kyler Murray is gone. And now you think about it, and their number one overall pick that they invested in for a good amount of time did not pan out, and he's probably leaving, and the Cardinals are about to be quarterbackless. Well, they're going to have Jacoby Brissett, so maybe that could lead to some changes. But I think Jonathan Gannon, I know a lot of one possession games, they've been unlucky. I think he's out, man. I think he's out, and I don't think it's going to be his fault. But I think this defense has been underwhelming. He's supposed to be the head of that. And the fact that this defense has been underwhelming is it's definitely going to not ring very fondly to the owners in Arizona. Yeah, I know it's harsh, but this is supposed to be a year where the Cardinals were competing possibly for the division. I know it was a long shot given how good that division actually is, but they were not supposed to be 3-9. And I don't think ownership is going to look at this and say, we'll give them another shot. Now, if they do, I'll be happy because I think Jonathan Gannon has done not a phenomenal job, but a solid job keeping that team together for the most part. I think this year it's really gotten off the rails, but I mean, I doubt it. I think I wouldn't be surprised after the final week of the season that they go ahead and cut ties with Jonathan Gannon, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's unfortunate because I think Jonathan Gannon can be a good coach. I think that his unfortunate marriage, as it were, to Kyler Murray as his quarterback, probably didn't do him any favors. I think we've had consistent conversation about how serious Kyler Murray is about football. And when you have to have that conversation about a franchise quarterback, because that's what they've treated him as, and that's what he's been there, that that's a problem, right? And I think that at this point in time, when you see a head coach start to go or a quarterback start to go, they have to look at how that marriage is going to be, what's going to happen after that. And usually, a coach wants his guy. So regardless if Jonathan Gannon's out, Kyler Murray's out, vice versa. And, very rarely do you see a head coach leave and the front office not go with him, right? GMs usually, they want to have their guy in there. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what the Arizona Cardinals have in the offseason. But yeah, they're probably all gone there. And this is going to be a Rams victory, most likely, unless something absolutely insane happens, which, hey, it's the Arizona Cardinals, baby. Insane is what they do. We have seen insane shit from the Arizona Cardinals all year. Look no further than against the Tennessee Titans. And that'll tell you exactly what can happen on any given Sunday. But that's the entire Sunday slate minus Sunday Night Football, which we will be discussing Sunday after the final slate of afternoon games. Specifically, this game is over. We will be going live to talk about Sunday Night Football, preview Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football, as well as cover the action from all of Sunday's games. Look forward to seeing you there. Until then, this has been Between the